Hey guys, welcome back to Ashley's Storyblog. We are actually going to do two books tonight. We're going to do The Day That Jimmy's Boa Ate the Wash by Trinka, Hakes Noble, and illustrated by Stephen Kellogg. And we're also going to do Mr. Messy by Roger Hargreaves. So I'm going to start with Jimmy's Boa Ate the Wash, and this is actually a Reading Rainbow book. If you watch Reading Rainbow, you can find some great reading resources there too. But this is about a little girl who goes on a field trip and a boy brings his boa constrictor. And they go to a farm for their field trip. How was your class trip to the farm? Oh, it was boring, kind of dull, until the cows started crying. A cow crying? Yeah, you see, a haystack fell on her. But haystacks just don't fall over. It does if a farmer crashes into it with his tractor. Oh, come on, a farmer just doesn't crash into that and do that. He would if he were too busy yelling at the pigs to get off our school bus. That poor cow. What were the pigs doing on the school bus? Eating our lunches. It's quite crazy times. Why were they eating your lunches? Because we threw corn at each other and they didn't have anything else to eat. Well, that makes sense, but why were you throwing corn? Because we ran out of eggs. Out of eggs? Why were you throwing eggs? Well, because of the boa constrictor. The boa constrictor? Yeah, Jimmy's pet boa constrictor. What was Jimmy's pet boa constrictor doing on the farm? Oh, he brought it because he wanted it to meet all the farm animals. The chickens did not like it. You mean he took it into the hen house? Yeah, and the chickens start squawking and flying around and all over the place. Go on, then what happened? Well, one hen got so excited she laid an egg and it landed on Jenny's head. The hen? No, the egg, and it broke all this stuff all over her hair. What did she do? She thought Tommy threw it, and so she threw an egg at him, and then Tommy ducked, and it hit Mary Ann's face. So she threw an egg at Jenny, missed and hit Jimmy, who dropped the boa constrictor, and the next thing you know, everybody was throwing eggs. And when you ran out of eggs, you threw pig's corn, right? Right again. Well, what finally stopped it? We heard the farmer's wife screaming. Why was she screaming? We really never found out because Mrs. Stanley made us get on the bus so quickly. We left in such a hurry that Jimmy didn't even take home his boa constrictor. I bet Jimmy was sad because he left his pet boa constrictor. Oh, not really. We were in such a hurry that one of the pigs was still on the bus, so now Jimmy has a pet pig. Boy, that sure sounds like an exciting trip. Yeah, I suppose if you're the kind of kid who likes class trips to the farm. I always thought that was a great book. Now here's Mr. Messy by Mr. Roger Hargreaves. Sometimes I can feel like this guy for sure. Mr. Messy was the messiest person you could ever meet in your life. He was so messy, everything he touched was dirty, and he left fingerprints wherever he went. He was messy by name and messy by nature. His house looked awful. It was the messiest thing you've ever seen. Paint was peeling, windows were broken, tiles were missing, weeds were all over the place, and he had not tended his garden at all. One morning he woke up and tripped over a rake or brush that was in his garden he had left, and he was on his way for a walk in the woods. There was a pretty wood behind his house, and it made him feel good walking through it, so he walked through to the other side. There he found the prettiest house with a stream running through it. There was a man in the garden clipping the hedge. As he approached, he said, "Hi, I'm Mr. Messy." "I can see that," said the man. "I'm Mr. Tidy, and I'm Mr. Neat," said a man popping out of the house. "Tidy and neat," said Mr. Tidy. "Neat and tidy," said Mr. Neat. "We're in business together, and we own this house, and we make things neat and tidy. Perhaps we could come along and do some work for you." "But I don't want things neat and tidy," said Mr. Messy. "Nonsense," said Mr. Tidy. "Fiddlesticks," said Mr. Neat. "Come along," said Mr. Neat. But, said Mr. Messy. They threw him in the van, and off they went to his house. "Good heavens, look at this messy house," Mr. Neat said. "Good gracious," said Mr. Tidy. "This is the messiest place I have ever seen in my life." And before he could open it, Mr. Messy could open his mouth, they were in there starting to fix up the house. Mr. Neat hoed, mowed, pruned, snipped, clipped, and cleaned, and dug, and made the garden prettier than it ever had been before. Mr. Tidy cleaned, primed, rubbed, painted, mended, and his house looked nicer than ever before. Then in the inside, they said, "Good gracious, this is a disaster." They set about cleaning the house from top to bottom and made it look nicer than ever before. "There we are," said Mr. Tidy, "all finished. Neat and tidy." Mr. Messy just did not know what to say. Then they both looked at Mr. Messy. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Mr. Neat said to Mr. Tidy. "Precisely," said Mr. Tidy. "What we're both thinking," they said together, "Mr. Messy, is that you look much messier, much too messy to live in a neat and tidy house like this." "But," said Mr. Messy. Before he could say anything, they whisked him off to the bathroom, which used to be the messiest place in the house, and they threw him straight in the bathtub, and he was not used to having baths. They scrubbed and brushed and cleaned him, and soon he did not look messy at all. He looked in the mirror and said, "You know what I'm going to have to do now?" In a fierce voice. Mr. Neat and Tidy looked kind of worried. He looks like a completely different thing. "I'm going to have to change my name," said Mr. Messy. And they all started laughing together and became the best of friends. Hope you guys have a great weekend.